be telling you one of the best stories in the history of video games. The story of the worst video game ever made. ET The Extra Terrestrial. To start with, we need to travel back in time to ancient history. The 1980s. Video games you could play at home were still a pretty new phenomenon. And back then, games were pretty simple. Even having a blob on the screen you could move with a joystick got people all excited, like, oh my gosh, I'm controlling the blob! Ah! As games started to get a bit more sophisticated, some big computer game bosses were like,
maybe we should make a game based on a movie.
and then their colleagues were like,
no one's ever made a game based off a movie. Can we even do that?
then a game designer, Howard Scott Warshaw, came along and was like, yeah, I can totally do that. And he did that with the first video game ever made based off a movie, Raiders of the Lost Ark. Even the director of the movie played the game and was like, whoa,
This thing is just like the real movie.
everyone loved Howard's game. And the video game bosses were like, yo, Howard, can you make another video game based on another movie? And Howard's like,
Yeah, I can totally do that.
so the video game bosses say,
Well, it's gonna be based off that new movie, ET The Extra Terrestrial, the best-selling movie of all time, because this is before the Avengers has come out.
and Howard was like, awesome.
I love that ET movie.
Then the video game bosses dropped a little bombshell before Howard started making the game. They were like,
Oh, and you know how last time you had 10 months to make that game?
Yeah, well, this time you have 5 weeks. Cool?
and Howard Scott Warshaw was like,
Wait, 5 weeks? Wait, what?
and the video game bosses were like, thanks, bye.
Bye.
So Howard works non-stop for 5 weeks and somehow manages to churn out this game in time. But then people start to play the game and they're like, hey, this game stinks. And Howard's like, hey, considering I made this game in 5 weeks, I don't think it's that bad. But word gets around how bad Howard's game is, how there's problems with it, how it's complicated, how it doesn't make sense. Basically all the problems that come with making a game in 5 weeks. And people start returning the game. And pretty soon, no one wants it. In fact, it starts to get a bad reputation. I mean, a really bad reputation. In fact, within a year, the video game industry experienced a massive collapse, with many games and hardware being so worthless, they were literally buried in the middle of the desert. Some people even blamed Howard and his game for this collapse. But despite the huge fallout, the fact that Howard made a huge release game in just 5 weeks is pretty impressive. Even if it was the worst game ever created. And that is the story of the worst video game ever made.